Let's talk about that comment made in the chambers of the Nigerian Senate by Senator Orji Uzor Kalu, claiming that some pilots in Nigeria, he said a predominantly good number of them are involved in drug abuses. The Nigeria Civil Aviation Authority and industry experts are pushing back, calling the allegation unfounded and damaging. Well, let's talk to someone who understands the rules, the regulations, and the industry itself. Joining us tonight for this conversation virtually from Lagos is former NCAA Director-General Captain Musa Shuaibu to help us navigate the issues as well as some of the concerns. Captain, thank you so much for joining us on Daily Politics. Good evening.
Good evening, Abdullah. Thank you very much for having me on your program. It is indeed an honor.
Right. First things first, your immediate reaction to the thoughts of the senator, the accusations, and some of the claims that he made during the plenary.
Well, it is rather unfortunate that the comments comes from a distinguished personality, a distinguished senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And my understanding is a lack of understanding of how the system works to deal with these problems and with these issues. There are very, very robust systems put on ground to deal with the issues of drug abuse in the aviation workplace.
And considering some of the things that he has said, accusing an agency that you led for quite some time of not doing due diligence, of not actually regulating the operations as well as the conduct of pilots. What do you have to say to that? I mean, how damaging is that claim?
Well, it does a lot of damage to the reputation of the Nigerian civil aviation industry, with significant possible consequences affecting the aviation industry. First and foremost, I'll just briefly explain how the system works. And the system starts from the International Civil Aviation Organization, a body of the United Nations, the APEC Civil Aviation Organization globally. I was fortunate to represent Nigeria in that organization for almost a period of 4 years. At ICAO, they check the use of drugs varies in the aviation workplace, not only by pilots, by all categories of workers in the aviation workplace seriously. And they developed a manual that will guide states into developing regulations. This manual is called the ICAO document 9654, and it's manual for the prevention of problematic use of substance in the aviation workplace. Based on that, in 2023, while I was still the DG, the Nigerian Civil Aviation regulations were reviewed. And the regulations in Nigeria have even exceeded the requirement of ICAO in these areas and the issues of educating, preventing, and dealing with the use of all sorts of drugs, including hemp. And in fact, the use of over-the-counter drugs or even drugs prescribed by doctors. Crew are not allowed to use those drugs. The system has ways of dealing with this. Pilots and other categories of workers in aviation undergo strict medical examination. Depending on your age, if you're less than 40, you do it once a year. For people like me that are over 40, you do it every 6 months. And these are very strict standards, clearly stated in Nigerian Civil Aviation Regulations at 2.11.2.6 of 2023. This medical examination are conducted by aeromedical examiners, certified aeromedical examiners. It checks the psychological, mental, physical, and other status of the crew undergoing tests. And this includes blood tests and urine tests to check if any substance, illegal or illicit substance, can be found in your system. And when that is done, the repercussion is immediate and severe.
Right. And Captain, just to provide some context to some of the allegations that have been made, because Nigerians are trying to connect the dots to understand where the senator is coming from vis-a-vis some of these stories that have been made public. A little over a month ago, the Nigeria Safety Investigation Bureau indicted Air Peace pilot and co-pilot after they tested positive for hard drugs and alcohol. This was, of course, after it followed an investigation into a runway incursion involving the aircraft at the Port Harcourt International Airport in July of this year. So what do you say to people that, listen, while he might not necessarily be 100% about the generalizations that he made while making some of those allegations, there are actually some reports that the public can say some of those incidents that made it to the news is because of some of these violations by pilots?
Thank you. Aviation, like every other human endeavor, it's not 100% foolproof. In every endeavor, and I mean, in all sectors of the economy, whether I am the medical, engineering, national assembly, journalists, or whatever you do, there are people that violate the regulations. But what is important, we have a system that deals with these violations to discourage and deter for the abuse of these regulations. And the Nigerian Safety Investigation Bureau is doing a good job. The first thing they do when there's an accident or an incident, they test the crew for drug or other substances in their system. You know, the penalty for use is severe. The Nigerian Civil Aviation Regulation has zero tolerance for the use of drugs. But we being humans, you cannot guarantee anything 100%. But if you get caught, depending on the type of violation and severity, you can lose your license and you can be recommended for prosecution, for criminal prosecution, because when you use drugs and you operate systems, it's a criminal offense under the Nigerian law. So yes, of course, like every human endeavor, there are cracks here and there. And this some get through the cracks. But the important, we have a system that catches even those that go through the cracks and deal with it.
Yeah, against the backdrop of some of those claims that have been made in the National Assembly, the Nigerian Senate has ordered a probe into some of these safety concerns. And we've seen multiple incidents, especially this year. You can talk about the Kwam 1 incident. You can talk about the Ibom Air incident with the removal of that unruly passenger / unruly stewardess. Talk to me about what we're dealing with here, industry-wide, about best practices. How aligned are we with international best practices?
Thank you very much. The Nigerian Civil Aviation Regulation is strictly based on international best practices and standard and recommended practices of the International Civil Aviation Organization, ICAO, which is the apex body. We had an audit and we have been found to be in alignment with these standards and recommended practices of ICAO. So yes, we do have incidents here and there, but we have system in place to prevent, to educate, and when it does, we have system in place to deal with these incidents. As I said, nothing is 100%, but the system is doing, the Nigerian system, aviation system has done quite well. Are there areas of improvement? Yes, like every human endeavor, there are always room for improvement, but the system has done well. Yes, the Nigerian aviation industry has recorded tremendous growth over the last 10 to 15 years. And when you have tremendous growth, you're bound to have things here and there, but thank God, nothing major has happened. And every incident is investigated. Any accident is thoroughly investigated, not to find faults, but to find the root cause by Nigerian Safety Investigation Bureau, and they make the recommendations to the regulators to put in measures to deal with these issues. And in fact, sometimes the recommendation of accidents may even find the regulator lacking in one area or another, and the regulator has no choice but to assess these recommendations and make the appropriate and necessary changes to prevent this occurrence. Aviation globally is one of the most regulated industries, if not the most regulated industry. Every facet, every inch, every nook and corner, everything you do in aviation, even the drivers you see driving on the tarmac, they are trained, it's regulated, and we must all comply with the regulations. But I said, being humans, once in a while, you have people that do the violation. Anything human, you're bound to have flaws here and there. But as I stressed again, we have a system that is programmed to deal with these issues.
And talk to me about some of those concerns that Nigerians continue to express about quality of service, about a larger issue where Nigerians get the sense that they're not sometimes getting value for money in terms of the services that they get. As someone who has been in this particular industry for decades, talk to me about whether these services are improving or some of these concerns indicate a slippery slope where flight delays have become normalized, flight cancellations have become normalized. What, in your view, is the trajectory looking like?
Thank you very much. If you have followed the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority over the last couple of months, the last 6 months, they've been really working with the industry, and they're taking seriously the issues of avoidable flight delays, flight cancellations, to make sure customers get what they pay for. It's unfortunate that there are many reasons. Some can be contributed to the airlines. Some delays are way beyond the issues of the airlines. When you have bad weather, once the first flight or a couple of flights are delayed, it has a consequential effect. It has a domino effect on the rest of the schedule for delay. And sometimes during rush hours, the capacity at some airports cannot handle the number of aircrafts on ground. There are delays. And sometimes even within the terminal, you have so many people trying to board and you don't have enough boarding gates. And this causes delays. I'm not fighting for that. The airlines also, they do have their faults that contribute to the delays. And sometimes fuel supply is not readily available. Or maybe the ground handlers are overwhelmed by the amount of services they have to provide at certain times. So all these things build into the delay. Yes, it's unfortunate passengers suffer, but we have to have a holistic look at the entire system and overhaul it. That's why we signed for Aviation Master Plan with ICAO, which is still currently being prosecuted by the present management of the CA, so that we can all have a look with the aviation sector and also the non-aviation sectors that affect aviation activities, so that we can have a holistic plan for the future, so that we can have a proper planning for growth going into the near and the long-term future.
And in talking about the comments of the senator, I reckon that it will have some sort of public image dent on the aviation sector, especially the civil aviation space. What are you hearing from some of the people in the international community, your contemporaries? What are they saying, if at all they've heard what the senator says? What are the chances that this could have some sort of hit on investor confidence, for instance?
Absolutely, you're quite right. I have had 5, 6, 7 phone calls from international calls from ICAO, from African Civil Aviation Commission, from my colleagues in other parts of the world that have read this report and asking me, and I try to explain to them the issues. And definitely, if this goes unchecked and is not dealt with in a decisive way and manner, it certainly has a repercussion for the industry. If you follow the Minister of Aviation, he's been working with the industry, with the Cape Town Convention, to ensure that Nigerian airlines get dry lease. Dry lease, that means we can get foreign aircraft to be flown by Nigerian pilots to reduce the cost of operations. Instead of paying tens of thousands of dollars to foreign pilots, you pay your Nigerian pilots. Currency, the money remains in Nigeria, remains in the economy of Nigeria. But if the perception is created that the authority, the Civil Aviation Authority, it's not doing his job, it's a job to monitor its pilots, and pilots regularly smoke, boo, or take whatever drugs before they go on flight. Nobody is going to lease his aircraft to a system that the regulatory body is perceived to be ineffective, or pilots are taking drugs. That's one of the repercussions. Another repercussion: Nigeria will be the investors will treat Nigeria as a high-risk area. So investors will be very reluctant to invest in Nigeria. If they are going to invest, it's going to be at a high premium, which will increase the cost of production for the airlines, which will result in seriously higher airfares. The airfares have already gone through the roof for several reasons. Insurance people might increase the premium on Nigeria because we're already paying high premium compared to what is obtained internationally. And if this perception is left to hold, it's going to really, really increase insurance premium for the airlines. And these premiums are paid in foreign currency. So it's going to have serious negative effect on the industry. And once the industry slows down or cost of flying goes high, it affects the economy in general. So it's not only damaging to the industry, it's going to significantly affect the national economy.
All right. Interesting take there. Well, that is where we're going to have to anchor the conversation tonight. Captain Musa Shuaibu, former Director-General NCAA, the Nigeria Civil Aviation Authority. Thank you so much for joining the conversation on Daily Politics. I appreciate you for the analysis.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Anytime. And have a great day, Abdullah.
All right. Thank you so much. And thank you for joining the conversation. That is it for tonight's edition of the program. We'll be back tomorrow live and exclusive on Trust TV. I'm Abdullahi Ahmed. For myself and the rest of the team, thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.